I am your SST teacher, and I welcome you to your SST class. Today we are going to read a very interesting topic, life in towns and villages. The scene is set in the 6th century. In this chapter we will read about second urbanization. So if there is second urbanization, there must be first urbanization also. So first of all we will know the meaning of word urbanization. Urbanization means settlement or settling of people in towns and cities. So if you remember, in this very civilization, that was the first settlement in your country. In those settlements, people were living in mud brick houses and very well developed cities. So people were living in towns and cities. So the Harappan Valley civilization was the first civilization, but after its decline in 1500, for the long 1000 years, there were no towns. So in 6th century, towns came up in Gangetic Basin, that is in the northern part of your country. So that phase when the 16 Mahajanpadas were developed from the Janpadas is known as second urbanization. The time period in the 6th century when people started again living in the towns and cities. So there are different features of second urbanization. First feature is increase in agricultural production. With the discovery of iron, more and more tools were made out of iron and they were used in large and at large. Iron axe was made, it was used to cut the tree and clear the land for cultivation. There were some land which were earlier considered to be unfit for cultivation. Now the iron plowshare was made which was able to till the hard soil also, clay soil also. So now these land were made fit for cultivation. So there was large land area under cultivation. So more and more crop was grown and there was surplus production. Irrigation facilities were developed, wells were made, canals were made, and these gave water for the production of plants. So now people had a large amount of production of grains. Now with the large amount of production of grain, surplus amount was left behind. So what people will do with it? They will sell it in the market. So with the growth of agricultural production, growth of trade and commerce was also there. Now people used to sell the extra product in the market. There were more and more traders. Now traders thought that we should have some set rules and regulations for doing trade. We should protect ourselves from any cheating and harm. So they organized themselves in the groups. These were known as Shrenis or guilds. These Shrenis and guilds act for regulating the trade and safeguarding the interest of its member. Now, there were not only increased in the trade and commerce, there was rise in art and craft also. So now, there were group of craft person also. So there were two types of guilds, merchant guilds and craft guilds. Merchant guild comprises of merchant and traders. Craft guild comprises of weavers, goldsmiths, leather workers, carpenters. Other than regulating the trade and safeguarding their interests, there were other rules of the guilds. They provided training to the traders. They organized trading activities. They also served as the bank. The members of these guilds can deposit their money and also take loan from them. Now, these guilds also give donation for making of temple and monasteries. And how do we know that? We can find mention of certain group of craft person in Buddhist literature, that is Jatakas. Now with the increase in trade, people started doing trades through waterways, through ships and boats. Thus, the trade was found nearby the coastal region and this is known as maritime trade. There is mention of two ports. Port is the place where the ship is kept after using it. So we can know that there was trade going on in your country. So there is mention of two ports, Bharuch and Kamruk in the Greek literature. The trade was not limited to India, but foreign trade was also there. Now when trade was there must be some medium of exchange because barter system cannot work anymore because the trade was not only limited to a certain area but spread out and wide. So coins were made. Coins were made out of metal. These metal were copper and silver. These coins did not have a definite shape. These had irregular shapes. Means they did not have a fixed shape like a circle or a square or a triangle. And now how do you recognize which kingdom coin belongs to? These had pictures of kings. Sometimes the emblem which kingdom? Now, because these coins were of irregular shape and certain symbols or marking was on them, so historians used to call it as punch mark coins. Now, let us read about the people in the society. Now, the society of North India and South India was different. People were known by different names. The groups of people were given different names. First of all, we are going to read about Gram Bhojika because we are dealing with the agriculture, so we are dealing with the concept related to village. So the people or a person who had the largest land in the village was known as Gram Bhojika, and in English we used to call him as headman. As headman, he employed laborers on his field because he did not work by his own because he is a big landowner. As a headman, he acted as a police as well as judge. He used to solve the cases or the dispute between people in the villages as a police, and he used to give just judgment or the justice over those cases. He was representation of ruler or the king, and thus he collected the taxes from the people. Now there must be some other people in the villages who had small land holdings. Those were known as grihapatis. Now there must be some people who did not have any land. These were known as dasas and karmkaras. As the name suggests, these were the people who worked as laborers on the land of Gram Bhojika and grihapatis. Coming to the South India, the big landowners or the rich landowners were known as vellas. The small landowners were known as uzhavars, and the people without any kind of land. That means who earned the money from the work as a laborer. These were known as Karaisiyar and Aditya. Now, as we know that agriculture production increased, with this agriculture production, urban centers also developed, and all the urban centers had their unique qualities and features, and thus there were different type of urban center depending upon their qualities and features. Political center, market towns, religious center, and coastal towns. As the name suggests, political center, these were the places where king used to live. All the political affairs were managed from these places. All the policies, all the rules and regulations were decided here. Market center, as the name suggests, or market towns. These were the places where buying and selling of the things were done. So people used to come to sell their products in these places. These were the center of villages because the money was earned through these towns only. Now talking about religious center, as the name suggests, these must be the places where things related to our religion and God were situated. So these were the places where temples, stupas, monasteries were there. Like in present day, we have Mathura, Varanasi, Kashi. We know all these places. These are religious centers where we can find things related to our religion. Coastal town, as the name suggests, these towns must be situated nearby the coast, where the trading was done through waterways, maritime trade. Talking about another urban center, that is Taxila. Taxila was considered to be a very big urban center, and it was considered to be multifunctional. Multifunctional means performing different type of function. In present day, it is in modern day Pakistan. It was excavated by Sir John Marshall, and with the excavation we come to know that in this town during the modern period people used to live, and this was a very well planned city and very developed town. It acted as the administrative unit, means all the work of managing the people, managing the region was done in Taxila. Many trade routes were passed through Taxila. If you want to go towards eastern India, you have to pass from Taxila. Likewise, Western Asia, Kashmir and Central Asia. These routes were found from Taxila. Now talking about the Taxila University. So first of all, it was an administrative town, various trade routes passed through it. Thirdly, there was Taxila University, and thus it was the learning hub or learning center. Students used to come and learn different subjects there. If you remember Chanakya, the mentor and chief minister of Chandragupta Maurya, it is said that he also used to teach at this university. Now in 6th century, two religions were very famous. That was the Buddhism and Jainism. In Taxila, you can find many Buddhist monasteries. So it was also Buddhist center. Now Gandhar School of Art. This is a type of art which has Roman and Greek influence. So this also developed in Taxila. So overall, if we find that it worked as administrative unit, it had trade route connections, it was a learning center, it was a Buddhist center, it was a school of art. So that's why we call it multifunction. So we have talked about so much about 6th century. So from where do we come to know about these things? Basically, there are two types of sources through which we can come to know about history, that is literary sources and archaeological sources. The literary sources, as some sources are already mentioned by me earlier also, these sources included the Buddhist literature, that is Jatakas, the Tripitakas and Ashtadhyayi of Panini, which mentions various urban centers and various stories related to these places. We also find mention of urban centers in Sangam literature. Sangam literature is the literature written in the south. It is written in Tamil, wherein by you can find mention of the kings, the places which they ruled, and thus we come to know about the urban centers. Talking about archaeological sources, the historians have found many northern black painted ware. Northern black painted ware means, or northern black polished wares. These means these pottery was painted in black and it was very glossy. It is said these were found in the northern part of your country, central India and southern part of your country. Other than those, we can find the ceramic pots, we can find the other kind of potteries, other kind of ornaments, we can find some well, toilet, and all these things also give us information about the urban centers. So this was all about this chapter, how people used to live in town and villages. So far we have read about urbanization, means settling of people in towns and villages. We have talked about the groups of merchant and traders and craft persons. We have talked how the northern society was different from southern society. We have talked about several types of urban centers, political unit, market towns, villages center, and coastal towns. We have read about Taxila, a very important urban center, and finally we have read from where all these things is known to us. That means the sources. I hope you have understood the chapter well. Meet you again. Thank you.